Good morning, huddlers. Good morning. It is Saturday, the 3rd of February, and my favorite person.
Saturday?
No, it's Friday. My brain's on 10,000 miles an hour.
I really like the
Friday,
possibility
the
of
3rd
Saturday.
of February. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. And my favorite person is here. Therefore, I've got my favorite question for you, Andrea. Andrea, in honor of the one thing business owners overlook that could bankrupt their businesses in a heartbeat, I have a question for you. What's the difference between an insurance policy? Well, let me rephrase that. What do hospital gowns and insurance policies have in common?
Something with an open thing in your back.
I'll tell you, you're never covered as much as you think.
Yeah.
That was too nice.
The one thing business owners overlook that could bankrupt your business in a heartbeat. Now, I say this as if it's a certainty. Well, I'm inviting you to do this. Consider that the one thing we're going to share with you today is a proxy for the one thing you are overlooking in your business. Now, you don't need to say it. You don't need to write it in the chat. Just give it some thought. What's the one thing? And it's not the only thing, but one thing that you picking in addition to the one thing we're about to share with you. And I have a few questions to anchor us in what it is to be here on the Daily Huddle. Good morning, everyone. My friend Stan the Man, I have a question for you, sir. Where are you, Stan?
Sorrel, I'm right here, where I need to be, man. Right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
The only place I could be.
Yeah.
I tried to be somewhere else and I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
No.
Couldn't do it. Move an inch. Let me see.
Still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
You are here, Stan, and thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Stacy, I love that smile. Tell me, what time is it, and who are you going to hug today?
The time is always right now, not now, but right now. And I am definitely gonna hug my wife today. She is very patient with me, and I'm going to thank her with some lovely hugs and kisses today.
I love it. I love it. I heard a confession somewhere in the background there.
There's some confession. For sure. There's a lot of confession.
Oh man, no worries, no worries. This is a space of no judgment and no fear. Good morning, Chase. How are you, my friend? Up, Chase, you're on mute. Well, Gio, there you are.
Grandy, how are you?
Chase, how are you, and what are you grateful for?
I am ambitious, and I'm grateful to breathe the clean air.
That is always good.
It is good.
That is always good. Grateful to breathe the clean air. Well, gang, welcome. Our question today is the one thing business owners overlook that could bankrupt your business in a heartbeat. No pun intended. I'm excited to bring to you my very good friend, someone who's no stranger to the Daily Huddle, Mr. Peter James. He loves to call himself a Jamerican. What is that, Peter? Well, that's a Jamaican by birth, an American by choice. Peter's a graduate of the Mico University College with a background and is trained in social science as a social science teacher. He's a prolific networker. Peter's passionate about helping individuals and families alleviate the stress that usually happens when someone dies without funeral preparations in place. In other words, Peter's passionate about giving peace of mind to people. He calls himself the CEO and Chief Encouragement Officer at his company, Affordable Senior Solutions, LLC. Peter, good morning. Thank you for being in conversations with us, and thank you for engaging us in this question. But before we dive into that, Peter, I'd love for people to get a sense of what brought you here. There's Jamaica. There's what you did when you got from Jamaica to here. There's how you were shaped and formed to now be someone who chooses to be the chief encourager and someone who stands for peace of mind for families. Tell us a little bit about you, my friend.
Well, good morning, guys. Good to be here again. I feel myself as a part of the family.
Your microphone is muted. It's not muted, but I can't hear you well.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, give me 1 second here.
Yeah,
Now
you know,
it's sounding
when you look to your right-hand side, your microphone works. If you speak to the right-hand side of your computer, it works.
Okay. All right, let me shift. Can you guys hear
Right
me
now, you're good.
You're good. Okay. Yeah, good morning. The question was what brought me here. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is that
Now, how did you get to be where you are now? Tell us a
Um,
little bit about you.
Interestingly, having the simple answer is my wife, but I'm going to expand on that for the most part. I left Jamaica with the intent to come here to the United States and pursue journalism, which I've started. In the process of doing that, I realized that you could make more bang for your buck getting involved in business. And that's the avenue I took. I did sales and realized that I had a passion for working with seniors. And having done one of my many jobs, you know, they're saying about Jamaicans, you got to have more than one job. So I had 3 jobs. And one was being a caregiver for senior men who didn't want women in their spaces. And in pursuing that, I realized that I had a passion for working with folks that are, you know, seniors, because I saw myself eventually being a senior, which is something you can't get away from. So I poured into it and then realized that I had a passion for helping people along similar lines.
Yeah.
Process.
Peter, hang on 1 second.
Mhm.
You know, there are times when people like you and me and others
Mhm.
are thrown by life into a situation where we have to be the caretaker for someone who's incapacitated in some way, shape, or form. You threw yourself into that. Now, that says a lot about who you are for people. Now, could you share with us just a little bit of what you learned, gained for yourself? How did caring for seniors shape you?
Oh my gosh, that is a heavy question, but I can answer it easily because growing up, I had a lot of elders around me. Grandmother, I grew up with my grandmother for the most part. Like most of us in the Caribbean, we were raised sometimes by our seniors. And I developed a respect for them and seeing how they poured themselves into what they were doing to take care of us as kids. It dawned on me that one day I'd love to give back. And out of that upbringing came that revelation that, as I said earlier, I eventually am going to be a senior. So how do I treat folks that are seniors with intention that hopefully someone will see that and treat me the same way? So that kind of propelled me to pour myself into working with them, trying to be an advocate for them, because so many people use their senility, for the lack of a better term, to exploit them. And I realized that, hey, if I can protect them in that respect, so out of that love came this passion and this drive and this commitment to be an advocate for seniors and to help them along the way in whatever way I could.
Yeah, and in being an advocate for seniors, by the way, let me just back up a little bit and acknowledge your heart, your gratitude for your grandparents, your grandparents, and your commitment to paying it forward by now taking care of people who are just the way they were, and you being just the way they were for you. So thank you for that. Now, one of the things I'd love for people to hear, unless you're a senior and you're the one who needs to be advocated for, you don't know what seniors deal with. So what is it that seniors deal with that requires you being an advocate?
The major thing, Sorrel, is loneliness. It's a huge, it's a big, I should say, gap, because they're neglected for the most part. And one of the major things that comes out of that is they want to prepare, despite the neglect, for their loved ones by putting in place something that is permanent that they can rely on. So when they're gone, their loved ones don't have to struggle like they did. Because all this combined wisdom, they're saying that the best university are with seniors. You learn so much. So they want to prepare and create solutions that their loved ones don't have to go through the loss and the grieving and not having enough resources to take care of that. So that's a major touch
Yeah,
point.
that's a major thing. And what would you say are the predatory practices that you specifically guard the seniors you love so much against? I'd love to bring them out so the world can hear them, because guess what? You are taking care of seniors, and each and every one of us here, we're either a senior or on our way to being one, or have a lot of senior people in our lives. So what are some of the predatory practices that you and your firm protect them against?
Primarily, seniors are targets because of their failing health or sometimes their memory going. So you find that folks will try to use that as an opportunity, because we have so many opportunists out there who will try to embezzle their funds. That's one of the major things. Seniors have a fear of outliving their resources, and it's a way of where people try to attack them in that respect. Credit issues, they will try to steal their identity and utilize it for other stuff. But one of the major things that seniors are worried about is this trust factor, which we all have an issue with, trying to trust people that they can, because most folks will try to get close to seniors because they figure that it's an easier way to amass things that they never had before. So the major thing, Sorrel, that I find is learning to trust somebody who, in such an environment that we're living in, where everybody's trying to grab for themselves. So seniors are very wary of people who will come in their space, try to get information from them, and they will tell you that they don't really answer phone calls from people that they don't know are in their sphere. Now, just on a little tangent, they're also vulnerable to people who will try to sell or offer them products or services that they're not familiar with. So usually someone like myself who will be in there with them to kind of help to guard against or be a filter to work with them more intricately and allow them to feel a sense of peace and at ease. And if more of us could avail ourselves genuinely to working with them and sharing with them and talking with them and helping them to fill out simple tasks. For example, the internet is something that a lot of them are scared of. They like face-to-face versus doing stuff on the phone or online. So in terms of what I do additionally, I bring solutions to help them alleviate some of the stress and the worry that comes with just everyday living, especially.
So let's talk about those solutions for a bit, right? And pointing directly to the question, the one thing that most of us overlook that
Mhm.
could bankrupt our business. Now, you talk about senior solutions, but I'm getting a sense that maybe we don't have to wait until we reach the age of a senior to actually put in place what affordable senior solutions provides. So in a minute or so, create for us the world of the services and the products available through you.
If I can tell a story quickly, a short story, personal, and forgive me if I'm drawing, but that's not about me. I was driving down the highway about 7 months ago. I'm going about my business to see a client, and lo and behold, a car came out of a side street and T-boned my car on the passenger side. Spun around. I ended up on the other side of traffic. Fortunately, there was no other car coming, so I was able to get back in the median and pull up. Came out of the car without a scratch. Went up to the person who was driving the other car that hit me was an off-duty police officer. We had some conversations. Everything was okay. Nobody was hurt. But the gist of it is, I went home after that, and I said to my wife, honey, you could have been a widow in just a second. Now, imagine I had lost my life and there was nothing there, no form of protection, no insurance, for a better term, which I had. So one of the services that we offered at final expense life insurance generally, but specifically geared towards seniors. So final expense life insurance is basically a solution that's put in place to protect or to cover an unintended loss, or somebody passes away, which is going to happen to all of us. But in the senior population, I work more in that market because those folks are sometimes less trusting of people who will come in and try to solicit them. So caregiving referrals is something that we do. If somebody needs a caregiver in the home, we can provide that. If they need it in a facility, we can also do it. But basically, life insurance for the seniors is kind of probably where we put most of our emphasis on, because when they get older, it's something of a necessity to protect their loved ones from the unintended loss.
Yeah, and that kind of life insurance, do you also provide insurance that takes care of the funeral needs and all of that?
Absolutely. And that's where I work mostly as a broker. I don't work for any company per se. I write for a variety. So for example, I can take your information, Cyril, and I'll shop among the companies, whatever your issues are, because usually as seniors, we have other little things that come on, like diabetes or high blood pressure or heart situations. And I'll shop and find the best option, present those to the seniors, and then try to work with them to get them qualified. So final expense life insurance, some of the benefits are that at the end of working with me, the clients feel a sense of peace, serenity, accomplishment, and peace of mind, because they're taking care of something that normally would not be done had they not put that emphasis and we put the time in to get it work for them. So in other words, we are creating solutions that will alleviate stress and worry. And for business owners also, this is something very critical, especially if you're a senior. Listen, people are more productive from their 55 up to 70, 80 years old. So that puts them in the category where they can get assistance and help from me and affordable senior solutions.
So the question that people don't have to answer directly, we're not going to ask you to put a 1 in the chat or say anything, but ask yourself, have you been procrastinating on assessing whether or not your company and yourself have the right coverage to protect what you've created and want to leave as a legacy for your family. And two, if you have been procrastinating, make a little promise to yourself right now and say, I'm going to call someone like Peter. Date and time. Peter, thank you for being here. I'm sure everyone's got a few questions for you. It's 20 after. We'll open it up now for people to get to know you better and also get to learn more about what you create at Affordable Senior Solutions.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
Questions, comments, anything for Mr. Peter James? Oh my God, if it isn't Mike Harris with his microphone on. Do you have a question, Mike?
I do. I have a question and a comment. First time here in months, so glad to be back with the family. My comment is I actually had lost my mom a couple of months ago, so I understand exactly what this is like and how important it is. Luckily, my mom had the foresight to put some things in place beforehand, but as I talked to many of my friends, most did not. So I think what Peter is offering is a blessing to families, something that people don't really think about, they don't want to talk about. And it may be something you may want to put in place for your parents, even if they don't know about it, because you don't want to be in a awkward place in those final hours. So Peter, I appreciate what you do. I honor what you do. I've already made arrangements for my end, but I know you have other products other than that. But you know, when we get to talk about Medicare and that sort of thing, I know you're a resource for all those great things. I just want to give you a shout out on my first day back in maybe 4 or 5 months. So thank you for doing what you're doing. It's important.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, welcome back. It's great to have you. Thank you for creating the space where that contribution is heard. Thank you. Yeah. Giovanni, you had your hand up.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Mike. You know, it's always the only thing I want to say is like, WTF, where have you been? We need some TLC over here from you, right? Anyway, but how Mike was bringing himself to this conversation really led me to be present to how real this conversation is. You know, there's this I was really thinking to myself, I was like, wait, hold on. My mother is someone who has always been ahead of everything her entire life. And that's one of the things that she has always been an example for me on how to be ahead of everything. But I'm not sure if it's actually that's taken care of. So I really want to engage with her and find out for myself. The question I had, and then also, so I have two questions for you, Peter. I lost signal for a minute, so you may have talked about this before, so I may be asking a question that you already referred to.
It's okay.
I lost signal for a second. So the two questions are, is it possible for me to insure someone who's out of the country through some of the vehicles that you have available? And also the other question is, I have put a lot of things around me around insurance. I have a lot of insurance, but the one thing I don't have is for funeral expense, like that one. I have lots of insurance for a lot of other things. If something happens to me, a lot of things get taken care of, but not that particular one. I'm rather young, so I have been kind of, like Sorrel said, procrastinating, and I don't quite see it that way, Sorrel. Thank you very much. But I do see myself like rather young to look into a funeral expense once, but what would be your assertion, or what was your, is for someone who's only in their early 40s, is it a good time to get funeral expense, even though it could happen in the 80s? 40 years later, what are your thoughts on that? So can I insure somebody outside of the country and funeral expense now in 40s? What are your assessment on that?
To answer the question, there are two parts to it. Yes, you can insure someone out of the country if they're a U.S. citizen or a resident, a legal resident. There are people that live both here and in Colombia or Jamaica, and they have policies. So it has to be bought here, paid for here, and just to kind of as an offshoot, you can't take insurance out on someone without their knowledge. You're not supposed to. It's not legal. So
A little closer to the microphone, Peter.
yeah, you can insure somebody who is out of the country if they're a dual citizen or they have a even we call it green card or Indian card. But you can't do someone like home.
So I'm going to repeat it, Peter, because your microphone is acting on you. Maybe you can stand up on your phone too, Peter, while you're talking. But what you said, what I heard was that I can insure somebody outside of the country if they are dual citizens, if they have a citizenship, or if they have a residency.
Right.
The other thing you said was, which was an important note, was that we can't insure somebody without their knowledge, that we can't do that for legally, So I heard that.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay, yeah, did us to that, Gio, you did say that. And the second question, why should you get a policy now versus later?
Not why. What are your thoughts on that? What is your assessment based on your experience? Not the why. Yeah.
The earlier the better, because the price remains fixed, it never changes. If you get it at $20 today and you're 30 years old, when you get to 70, it's the same amount. You would have just accrued a lot more. You get in earlier. So what I implore people to do is not to treat it as a bill, but treat it as something that you're spending money on that's meaningful, because it's going to grow as you grow.
Oh, I love that.
All right.
I love that. So it's fixed.
It's
So
fixed.
a funeral expense will be fixed, even if it it happens in the 90s, I'm still going to be paying whatever I got assessed in my 40s.
Right.
Oh, that's
we don't
great.
We don't know when we're going to pass, Gio. That's the thing.
No, unfortunately.
The funeral homes will tell you that they're kids all the way up to stuff. So the earlier, the better.
Yeah. So great. Really great.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Gio. And
CC had a question.
CC has a question, and then Rashida, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, CC.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I do have some insurance for myself, but perhaps when I bought it, I was in my 20s. So now I'd like to get some more burial insurance because I think I'm gonna outlive the policy that I purchased. So can you give me a call? Maybe we can discuss about adding another policy. And I am a senior, so I just want to know what the pricing is all about. So,
CC, we met over the live event over in Smyrna, and you're not a senior. Don't be misleading folks.
Hey, Peter, if you look in the chat, CC put her phone number in there, okay?
Okay.
And as you're taking a look at that, I'll preserve it for you. Rashida has a question. Rashida, go ahead.
Good morning, my family daily huddle. Peter, thank you so much for the presentation. It's awesome. I would never qualify myself as a senior. Please, I discard the title. I don't want a title. I don't need a title. But I'm like my grandmother. My grandmother said, "Forever young." That's what she used to say, "Forever young." But one of the things that I have learned and I'm hearing is that I got insurance reason because when I was a home attendant, CNA, I see my clients, elderly people, how it is that they was doing to pay their bill. And eventually I find out that long-term care. So I have 15 years paying into a long-term care. I just love it. But also it's covered my funeral. But thank you. I really appreciate the point that you make. And I wish every one of us build a conscious awareness to be able to really go into getting some kind of insurance plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Peter, you know it like we all do. Time flies on the Daily Huddle. So here we are at 9:30. Sir, what is the last thing you want to say this morning to the audience? And you might pretend you're speaking directly to Giovanni as you're saying it.
Okay, here's the state. Everybody can hear me clearly now?
Yeah.
If you talk about it, it's a dream. If you can envision it, it's a reality. However, if you schedule it, then that's the most important thing you can do.
Thank you, Peter. It's always great to have you. The Daily Huddle is your home. You know where we are. Do plan to come back. And in the meantime, folks, as you enjoy the weekend and as you prepare for Zach and Kimberly on Monday morning on the Daily Huddle, as you know, we're here every day. I'm entreating you to heed our 8 tenets, and they are love yourself. Do like Andrea, hug yourself, and then go hug everybody else, even the people you don't want to hug. And laugh out loud. You know, if all else fails, go back to the Daily Huddle archives and listen to all the dad jokes that are not funny and laugh at us. You will cock your head back and go nuts. Stress less. You know, life is so short. And whatever it is you're stressing over, I guarantee you is going to be funny in 2 weeks. So if you're going to laugh at it in 2 weeks, why not laugh at it now? Stress less, eat mostly plant-based, and give. I heard something the other day, and it went like this: to have, give all to all. And so give. Sleep. Get yourself 7 to 8 hours. Geo says 10. And last but not least, unless you want to wreck yourself, you better check yourself. This is your Daily Huddle for today. Have a phenomenal weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks, guys.
One love, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye now.
Good seeing you guys. See you again next week.